Captain's Log Supplemental. Today we had our annual shipwide art showcase. 10 Forward has turned into an exhibition for the more artistic of the crew to share their artistic expressions of themselves and their culture. The installations range from your more standard oil paintings all the way to some more unique displays. Crewman Poe Quinn showed off his people's artistic expression by posing completely nude aside from some tastefully placed trash on his body. It was supposed to evoke the complexity of the heart and inner struggle or something, though I don't know if that's what I got out of it. On the other hand, there's Lieutenant Miller's installation, which was just him standing there smiling. I asked him what his display was. He just said, "Isn't it beautiful?" and just gestured broadly to himself. You know, I gotta give him credit, though. It's just tons of completely unearned confidence he displayed.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Captain's Log Supplemental. My name's Rob, and I'm joined by my two friends and co-hosts, Stanford and Chris.
Hello.
Hey there.
As well as producer Mariah.
Hi there.
Captain's Log Supplemental is a Star Trek rewatch podcast. Each week we cover another episode of Star Trek, marching ahead in chronological order by star date. If you like what you hear, we'd appreciate you taking the time to rate and review us on your podcast supplier of choice. Those ratings go a long way to helping us reach out to more Star Trek fans. This week's episode was Enterprise Season 2, Episode 15, Ceasefire.
Hold on, I know I do all the heavy lifting on the banter here, but I finally I finally finished that Lego mech.
Yeah,
and it's like a foot tall, right? Like it's huge.
Oh god, I didn't realize it was that big from the pictures you sent.
Yeah. I'll hold a ruler up to it next time. Like he's unstable, so I have to like pin his joints and stuff. But anyways, Mariah's like, "Where's he going?" And I'm like, I mean, there's plenty of space on the mantle. And she's like, "You're going to put your mech on my mantle?" I'm like, fuck. But then, so she cleaned off the mantle because we still had like Christmas up there because we had like a little Christmas village and whatnot up there. Very tastefully decorated. No mechs, weirdly.
There's no Christmas mechs?
No Christmas mechs. So I'm like, "Oh, honey, look, the mantle's all cleared off. You know it looked great up there." And she's like, "I guess he could go up there."
I haven't put everything back on the mantle where it goes. There are lots of plants that still need to go back up there.
It'll be like a jungle scene. He's like,
see, Chris gets it. She's like, "Would you be okay if I let a plant grow over him?" I'm like, fucking, of course I am okay with that. It'd be like he was abandoned on a battlefield. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, I see no issues there.
Christmas lights inside the rocket pods or something, so that it can be festive for the holidays.
Yeah, I said we get him a little Christmas hat.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe if I so this is how we compromise in marriage, and if I let the plants grow thickly enough, you won't even see it anymore.
Well, if you can't see it anymore, then there's no fucking point, then, is there?
Just gotta have him peek out a little bit.
He's too big. There's not enough plants in the house to cover him up. He's huge.
Watch me.
So did you figure out how to pin his legs?
I haven't yet. I think I know how I'm going to approach it. I'm not gonna glue it. I don't want to glue it. What I think I'm gonna do is, no crackle. What I want to do is, there's a couple of like fairly strategic spots on him that have open, like, Lego Technic holes. So I think I can use other Technic pieces to like pin like braces there that'll just keep him upright. And I think that'll work. I actually sent an email to the guy who like designed it to see if he had any suggestions, because I'm not like some kind of fucking master builder or whatever the hell. So like, I don't want to glue it. If you have any suggestions, I am all ears, but otherwise I'm just gonna see what I can do.
Yeah. That's how pretty much I do any type of Lego. I'm like, I'll try some shit and see what it works.
Right. The tricky part here is doing things that like don't look like
stupid.
Yeah, because he's got kind of an aesthetic going on. So it's just like, if he's scaffolded, then it's like, well, that kind of defeats the purpose.
Sure.
No, you could say he's like rigged for like work in an engineering bay. Like in MechWarrior 5, you know how like they have the bay at the back of the ship?
Yeah, I'll just need to get like a crane. I'll just make a crane for him to hold him up in the air.
Yeah.
And then Mariah can put the whole thing up on the mantle.
Just
I'm
hang
sorry,
it
what?
from the ceiling. This has become very elaborate now.
Oh man, I'm picturing how that Gantrian crane would look with the little Lego chains and shit. Oh, that would look amazing.
You should put a picture of him in the show notes.
See, at this point, you just need to turn the whole thing into like some really fancy like cuckoo clock.
What?
Like
Have like little Lego minifigs running around.
I don't know what's happening here.
He's actually designed to take a minifig in the cockpit. Although I did not buy the minifig because it was like $45 to buy this one out of print minifig.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I'm gonna say this right here, and this is a good spot where you could cut it out if you wanted. But your dad took a minifig in the cockpit last night.
Penis.
Oh, Chief.
So anyway, ceasefire. Yeah, we this was a pretty fun episode. We had the return of fan favorite Andorian Shran this week.
Yeah, this was a fun episode.
Yeah, we opened this week with a skirmish outside of an Andorian base on, depending on what side of the conflict you're on, either Pon Makar or Wei-Ta. It's a little planet, very small, like about the size of Earth's moon. First scene has Shran going over some strategic info with his lieutenant, Tara.
Oh, you mean Andorian Dami Mommy?
Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly.
She is so tall.
Very tall.
She's leathered up. She's very stirred. I mean, come on.
Yeah, her gun can't be set to stun. Yeah, she's got definitely Dami Mommy.
She's got the build of like Peggy from Married with Children.
Kind of, yeah.
And kind of the hair, too.
Yeah. I mean,
funny how that happens in Star Trek.
Well, the Vulcans are all bangs, but the Andorians, they're all like 70s hair, 70s hockey hair. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of hairspray.
A lot of blow waves and shit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Shran receives a communication from the Vulcan military asking to discuss terms of a ceasefire, and naturally, his first inclination is to call Archer to help mediate.
he's like, I know somebody who can help us. A pink skin. His name is, and I'm like, please not Archer. Please not Archer.
Archer. No, this is the Admiral Forrest episode. He's very reliable.
Yeah. Speaking of Admiral Forrest, after some Faith of the Heart, we get a call with Admiral Forrest. Does this count as a sad call? I feel like Archer's the only one sad in this situation.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think it's a sad call because it's not like, oh, Admiral Forrest, we broke something like it usually is.
Rob is, of course, referring to our bingo boards.
Yes, yeah. We get a call from Admiral Forrest. He's asking Archer to pay the Vulcans and Andorians a visit. He says, "You're the closest thing we have to an ambassador out there," which that's a stretch.
I was like, well, that sucks for you.
Like, I feel like if anybody, it should be Travis. He very skillfully navigated that phone call he got in that one episode.
But also, like, T'Pol worked for an ambassador, like, worked for the consulate. So, like, you'd think that she would be at least somewhat better suited for this.
Well, but she's Vulcan.
Yeah, I guess.
Archer directs Enterprise to the planet in question at the highest speed, and Enterprise, you get a little cut of it just kind of shaking as they're all enjoying dinner at the captain's table.
Okay. Trip says, I've got the injectors running at 110%. And T'Pol says they're rated for 120. What the fuck does 100% mean in this context?
You know how you have that red line in your car speedometer?
Right.
but if they're rated for that, wouldn't that be 100%?
What are numbers? It's, numbers, they're just a construct of humans. So, what is time exactly? I don't know.
They reverse the relativity. Yeah. So this planet, Pon Makar, it's on the edge of Vulcan space. small Class D planet, barely the size of the moon, like I said earlier. T'Pol says the only real interest that Vulcan has in it is that it's of strategic importance because it's located around the edge of their space and Andorian space. Apparently, a while back, like 100 years ago, the Andorians set up shop there and started terraforming the planet. And the Vulcans, I don't know if it was ever confirmed that it was a military outpost, but the Vulcans assumed it was a military outpost and annexed the planet.
Yeah, that is what they said. Yeah, there was never an established. Although, well, it's one of those things where it's like they never said it was actually a military outpost. But to be fair, the Andorians don't build anything else, so I don't know.
I mean, they referred to it as a colony, though. Like, they didn't specify it was a military outpost.
Yes, just a peaceful colony.
An Andorian colony, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so after the annexation, all of the Andorian colonists were, as T'Pol puts it, removed.
Yeah, Archer and Trip were not on T'Pol's side during any of this conversation.
No, I mean, rightly.
Yeah, not a good look for Vulcan High Command here.
Yeah.
After that, the planet was mostly vacant for most of the century until now. So Vulcan ambassadors are angry. They want to know why the Andorians asked for Archer to mediate the conflict.
Right, because like us, they also hate Archer.
I don't know if it's acting or if it's just his face, but like Saval's expression is just eternally, I'm done with this shit.
I think it's both.
Yeah, it's definitely, yeah, I mean, it's he does a good job of playing the character he's supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So they start catching Archer up on the latest happenings on the planet. Turns out Shran landed a force on the planet a couple days ago and occupied the old Andorian settlement there. Archer gives a wink to Trip and tells the Vulcans he'll see what he can do, and basically refuses to expound any further than that. He also refused to take a Vulcan officer detail with him and says that he's going to take T'Pol instead because she's a Vulcan he could trust.
Sure.
He has a little heart-to-heart with Phlox in the decon chamber. Apparently, that's also where you go to get hosed down with radiation that will protect you against pathogens.
Analeptic radiation.
Uh-huh.
I'll note that Phlox says that he was a medic in the Denobulan infantry. The Denobulan infantry sounds like it would be fucking hilarious. Like I assume when the armored vehicle opens, it's just like that scene in the second Ace Ventura movie when all the pets or when all the animals emerge from the mansion. It's just every infantry officer has 3 or 4 animals with them.
I feel like their plan, I haven't I haven't seen a whole lot of Denobulans in Star Trek lore, but I have to imagine that they would just try to overwhelm their opponents with toxic positivity.
Just know it's the most terrifying weapon. Just a squad of those freaking smiles.
They puff their faces up.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so T'Pol joins Archer in the shuttle pod, immediately gets irritated about Archer taking a glance at the previous territorial compromise.
To be fair, you want to do your actual fucking job here, Archer?
Yeah.
I mean, 100% par for the course for Archer, though. He's this is a lot of stuff. I'm not reading it.
The Vulcans are windbags, whatever.
Yeah, so she's less than comforted at him saying that he plans to win Shran's confidence and then play the rest by ear.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get him a beer and see what happens. Huh?
Yeah, they land the shuttle pod and get intercepted by the Andorians. They're not happy.
They land the shuttle pod at what looks to be some sort of sick laser tag course.
Yeah. Pew, pew, pew. Dude, that was the entire set for this whole episode.
Yeah, it's just in an abandoned ultra zone.
Yeah, it's some strip mall in America somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
The Andorians aren't happy to see T'Pol, but agree to take them to Shran anyway. Shran's amused at Archer's sense of humor, which, okay. takes him and T'Pol to check on the Vulcan hostages. They're all fine, just kind of tied up in a closet somewhere. T'Pol remarks that there wouldn't have been any conflict if Shran's team had observed the compromise, to which Terror replies that only a Vulcan would consider 100 years of oppression a compromise. Which I don't understand. Like, I feel like there's a little bit of a misstep here in the scripting, because it sounded like all the Andorians were shipped off world. Did some of them stay?
Right, were like turned into slaves or something? Like, what happened?
Right. I was under the impression that the relationship between the Vulcans and Andorians in general was oppressive.
I mean, okay, sure.
All right.
Well, okay, never mind. Damn. I like how Archer here's like, this is my first diplomatic mission. Like, motherfucker, I've seen you on more diplomatic missions. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Like the time where you took a Klingon back to, home.
Literally your first mission. Or how about that time you had to fucking lumberjack?
Oh, that's right.
It's such a nice costume, too.
He did.
Or there was that time they had to get that Vulcan ambassador from that planet. He's been on a bunch of diplomatic missions.
Yeah, that's true. I guess he's
Shran.
His first one as like primary negotiator?
I don't even know if that's true, though.
I feel like first contact is by definition a diplomatic mission.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Anyway, Shran agrees after some prodding from Archer that he'll release a single prisoner, but then demands that the Vulcans retreat their forces, have the compromise be rescinded, and that they accept Andorian control over the planet to let the other two go. To which Archer just threatens to leave if all he's going to do is play messenger boy back and forth between the Andorians and the Vulcans. Really, at this point, what Shran's ultimate desire is comes out. He really wants to be able to speak with the Vulcan mediator, Saval. So they send him back up with a single prisoner as a show of faith, and in return ask that Saval joins them down on the planet's surface. Saval naturally refuses to go back down, says that it's a trap. He's basically, that Archer's basically asking him to turn himself over to the Andorians. They notice a few additional Andorian vessels inbound to the system. Archer somehow punks Saval down and gets him to agree to finally visit Shran. Shran orders his troops to treat Saval with respect. Terra questions Shran's wisdom about negotiating with the Vulcan ambassador at all. And you can see that this is the point of the episode where the aliens are lying to us again.
I think that once again, like, showing us this stuff undermines the plot. It would have been better if we had stuck from the POV of Archer and T'Pol the whole time. Like, we shouldn't know what the Andorians are doing. So it should be like, why did the Andorians fire on them? I don't know. It's like, no, it's because tall Andorian Dami Mommy is clearly a bitch. Like, that's, they showed us that. But
I feel like all of the writers of Star Trek Enterprise just like never watched Scooby-Doo when they were a kid, and they don't understand the joys of unmasking the villain at the end.
Right. Like, you can't let the audience not know entirely what's going on.
You don't have to continually spoon feed. Like,
right. Yeah. So I think that this episode would have been much stronger if we didn't see this stuff.
Yeah. Agreed.
So Archer's windbreaker's pretty hot, though. Starfleet windbreaker.
Of course, Archer's shuttle starts taking fire on the way back down to the surface. It loses engine power at some point because apparently these phasers are apparently super strong. I did not expect them to be able to take out a ship of any meaningful size. Archer manages to stick the landing, though.
The ground's going to slow us down.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if they had some seatbelts.
Yeah.
They do crash a lot in them. That is something they should look into.
They should
I feel like
they should have seatbelts on everything. They crash kind of a lot always.
Yeah, like there's not really any place on any Starfleet vessels to strap yourself down.
No. They're like when we were watching the first episode of Voyager last week, there's this like brace for impact, and everyone just kind of like grabs some shit near them. There's no like restraints or even handlebars.
Yeah, there's always that one moment where everybody just like starts grabbing the keyboard and the console in front of them. It's like, what are you doing?
Well, okay, so part of me, like, I think this is how they film, like ships being damaged and hit and stuff like that. Like, you've seen the clips of Next Generation Bridge when they like
stabilize the camera,
right? It's just like they're wiggling around. It's like they couldn't do it as effectively if they were actually strapped in, right?
True. Yeah, you can't flip yourself over a banister when you have a seatbelt on.
Those banisters only exist to be flipped over. Like, that's why they're there.
Like, oh man, we should have a game when we start watching TNG and like count the number of times Worf flips over the banister.
I know Tasha does at least a couple times.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess anytime the security officer gets flipped over the banister, that'll be the game. Anyway, Archer manages to stick the landing. They all bail out of the now like on fire pod, and Saval immediately wants to make for the Vulcan forces, but Archer says they need to continue on with the mission and keep looking for Shran.
Saval ditches his ambassadorial robe, so you know shit's gonna get serious.
Yeah. Like this is the point where like I get Archer's argument that they're in the middle of a battle, nobody can really tell what's going on, but like I don't know why the Vulcans would have attempted to shoot the shuttle out of the sky. Like there really wasn't a reason, and like even Tara. So like in the next scene. Tara tells Shran that the shuttle pod was clearly like a false flag operation by the Vulcans in what is probably the weakest argument I have ever heard in my entire life.
It would have been better to just be like, I guess some of our forward positions didn't hear the memo on the shuttle pod. It's chaotic. Right. There's a battlefield. They didn't ID it well. They're shooting at anything they can find. Like, completely reasonable.
Yeah. So the Vulcan ambassador's nameless underling calls Trip back on the Enterprise and lets them know that the shuttle pod was shot down, and says that they'll be working on recovering Saval, Archer, and T'Pol without Enterprise's help. Trip is, very appropriately annoyed by this, and has Hoshi start to set out and try to locate Archer. Meanwhile, down on the planet, Archer, T'Pol, and Saval go traipsing through the ruins of the settlement. There's a lot of damage here for what seems like it should have been a small skirmish.
I like well, we don't know how much damage was before damage, right? Although I do like how shit's just kind of on fire. There's just like these random fires.
Yeah, it's perpetually on fire.
Yeah, that's how you make it look like a battlefield. Didn't you know that?
Yeah, just more fire. Archer makes some stupid comment about how his ears are less likely to draw their fire. And just runs off from the two of them to try and make contact with the Andorians.
They're like, what the fuck is his obsession with her ears? It's fucking weird.
I believe they're envious. This is a good line, though.
That was a great line.
Although this whole conversation between Saval and T'Pol is completely meaningless. It's like useless. Like, I don't understand why this little scene was even written.
Right. Like they wrote Archer going off to do absolutely nothing just so they could have this conversation that did nothing for the episode.
It did not do anything for the story. We didn't learn anything useful about the characters because it's shit we already knew. Like, it was a nothing conversation.
I feel like it was the writers trying to show that T'Pol is adapting to her like life with humans. I think that's what they were trying to do.
Yeah, but they've done a lot of that already, though.
But we've already done that. Like that was like fucking Ambassador Badass, who was the criminal on the one planet. She said the same thing. Fucking 20 episodes ago.
And that she was proud of T'Pol for it.
Yeah, like we get it.
Yeah.
Spoon feeding.
Yeah. Spoon feeding. Yep. Archer is, of course, unable to reach the Andorians and returns back to the two Vulcans.
What was he doing?
That's what I was saying. Nothing. He did nothing.
Do you think he ran around the corner and he's like, I was gonna kill a few minutes? He's just like picking shit out of his nails or checking.
He's just shooting his phase pistol up in the air, like pew pew pew.
Oh, they're really coming at me here, pew pew.
Yeah. So here's where we cut back to Tara and her cohort. They're on the hunt for Archer with what appears to be ulterior motives, because God forbid somebody figures something out on their own. They pin Archer down with T'Pol and Saval. Archer throws Saval his phase pistol and says to cover him. Now, I get the idea of suppression fire, but he did the worst sneaky maneuvering I have ever seen.
No. It was. I'm surprised that they had that scene on film because you couldn't see him at all through the whole sneaking section.
It's like John Cena up in there.
You know the parkour bit in The Office?
Parkour.
Yeah, I feel like this was that, but for Enterprise.
Well, also, okay, so what's the Hollywood obsession with when somebody's sneaking up somebody behind somebody and shouts, "Hey," and then punches them in the face? Why are you warning them?
Well, for dramatic effect.
Because you got to get them to turn towards you so you get a good line at their face.
Or you could just, hit them in the back of the head, which is very effective.
Well, it's very effective in Hollywood, yeah. That upper shoulder club that immediately passes people out.
Yeah.
Well, there's that. I was thinking more of the actual head. Club them with the brick.
The important thing is that you have to use both hands.
Or feet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dami Mommy does.
Yeah, so at this point, the Andorian ships drop out of a warp and start to make their way to the Vulcan vessels. Trip tells Travis to put the Enterprise in between the two groups to try and defuse the situation.
Yeah, this is where we get sexy, angry Trip is in command.
Yeah.
he ain't
sexy, angry Trip.
Oh, man, he ain't taking no shit from these motherfuckers.
Malcolm Reed was super excited.
Fucking, I hate that actor so much, I think.
Archer sneaks up on Tara after knocking out the other assailant, and she drops her weapon. Turns out Tara doesn't think much of Shran's plans and was trying to undermine his efforts at a compromise. Archer tries to take her captive, but winds up trading fisticuffs with her instead because, of course.
Did his hip give out? Why did he fall?
He's I think the floor collapsed underneath one of his legs or something.
It was really bad. Although during the fisticuffs, did y'all see the double jab with the fist?
Yeah.
Yeah, that and Dami Mommy from the top rope with the double leg kick, man.
Yeah, this is some advanced Andorian fighting. The double jab, because I can't call it a double punch because it's not our classic double punch. It's like a double jab where she punched with both of her fists at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, you can't dodge both of them. That's the trick.
He did, and he dodged to neither. He got hit by both.
He froze. Deer in headlights. Yeah, so Shran shows up at the last moment to find Archer kneeling over Tara. Assumedly, I don't know why. It was such a weird way to wrap up their whole little entanglement here. Shran shows up and Archer's holding the gun. And it's what happened here? I mean, it's very obvious what happened here.
Yeah, Tara gives the most easily coerced confession ever.
Yeah.
She's like, he was trying to kill me. And Archer's like, no, I wasn't. She's like, no, I was. I'm just fucking. I was trying to betray you. Sorry.
Yeah. Trip almost unloads on the Vulcans and the Andorians when they start to break formation and head back to the planet's surface. But Archer interrupts and lets them know that he, T'Pol, and the ambassador are all safe and that they've welcomed each other down to the surface to help take care of the wounded. Shran and Saval then meet on Enterprise for talks. Shran very aggressively pours him and Saval a drink to celebrate their mutual dissatisfaction.
This is where I was like, God, I should drink more liquor. Shran looks so fucking cool.
Yeah,
Saval, Vulcans who don't drink. Bleh.
Yeah, Saval says Vulcans don't drink, but this situation merits an exception. So
I do like how Shran is so immediately offended when he's like, don't drink. He's like, what the fuck?
The fuck you say to me?
Even his antenna were offended.
Yep. Yeah, so
I did love all the antenna wiggling of this episode.
They did a better job with them this time. They weren't just kind of randomly moving. They looked like they were actually reacting to what was supposed to be happening.
Yeah.
Well, I liked the one, it was where Archer sneaks up behind Tara and like he tells her to drop her weapon, and you could see the antennas both like turn around behind her.
Right.
I thought that was a nice touch.
Although the more I see these antennas, the more I'm like, those are just little vaginas up there. What is happening?
Oh, that is a horrifying observation. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because everything's all like muted and blue, except for these bright pink, vaginal shaped orifices that are on their heads.
Good God.
Anyway, so Saval and Shran start to plan some future talks after agreeing to the ceasefire. And on the way out, Saval thanks Archer by saying that his presence here had not been overly meddlesome. And as a final note for the episode, we see, all the ships start to move off from the planet. Andorian ships look really cool.
I do like the Andorian ships.
100% disagree.
What?
I don't like their right. Yeah, okay, Little John. I don't like their engine setup. They look stupid.
Oh no, they look cool.
Hard disagree.
There's too many xylophone things going on. Like I can't.
You're a xylophone thing. Shut up.
Like, you know how like when you go to a hotel and there's the little shaving mirror that comes out on the little like xylophone arm. That's what their nacelles look like. I don't know. I think the Vulcan ships look all right because they're kind of interesting looking.
I do like the Vulcan ships, yeah.
But I don't care for the Andorian ships.
Well, your opinion is stupid and wrong.
Oh,
it is stupid. Just like how it's dumb that you don't like the Romulan bird of prey.
God, it's so... it looks... You know what the Romulan bird of prey looks like? It looks like someone doing like a Dracula, like, blah, with the cloak, like with their arms up.
I agree with Stanford on this one.
Oh, man. That was like my favorite Micro Machine when I was a kid.
Like the shape is bad, and it's got a big fucking bird painted on it. It's just
the bird's the best part. I don't like the bird at all.
It's all bad.
I'm just annoyed because the Klingon bird of prey is so fucking cool.
So fucking
It is very cool. Yeah, it was funny. For the deep dive, I wound up going back and watching some episodes and parts of a movie that had the Klingon bird of prey. But we'll get to that in a minute. So at the end of each of the episodes, we like to rate these on a scale from 1 to 5, and Stanford's been tabulating all of these, so the statistics at the end are going to be interesting. What would you guys give this episode?
I gave it a 4.
I gave it a 4 too.
Yeah, I did too.
Standard schlock, but Shran
and Dobby Mommy and
Dobby Mommy was completely ridiculous, but like in a fun way.
Yeah.
It was standard Trek, but like after the rest of this season so far, for the most part, it felt really good.
There is that.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. 4s all around then.
4
all right.
All around.
Well, we're going to take a little break here, and we'll be back for the deep dive. All right, welcome back, everybody. So this week for the deep dive, I thought it might be interesting to talk about diplomacy in Star Trek.
Good.
Yeah. So what we often see in a lot of Star Trek is that starship captains often get diplomatic responsibilities thrust onto them. Some, like Archer, get really excited at the prospect, especially with like first contact scenarios with new species, like you were saying earlier. Of all the captains, though, I understand his excitement the least, because aliens are always lying to him.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I tried thinking to some of the other series. It happened a lot, I feel like, in the original series as well, where like the aliens weren't always what they seemed to be, like at first glance. But like every single interaction Archer winds up having with an alien species for the first time, it just seems to be negative. I don't know.
Yeah, but like 85% of those are negative because of him.
That's fair. So yeah, like outside of starship captains, though, there are a couple of organizations that are named inside the lore. So one, during the current generation, so Enterprise era, is the United Earth Diplomatic Corps. We haven't seen them yet, but they will make an appearance in season 4 of Enterprise. they're sort of the precursor to the team that replaces them, which would be the Federation Diplomatic Corps. They get introduced, not even in the original series, they get introduced in Star Trek Undiscovered Country. You know that the Khitomer conference where
the Khitomer.
I was going to say it's Khitomer.
I'm sorry, Khitomer. You're right.
Khitomer. Yeah, the Khitomer Accords. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where they're like formally introduced into the lore. And then in between those two, though, there is a single episode of the original series where the Bureau of Planetary Treaties gets brought in. So there's an episode called The Mark of Gideon where Kirk gets kidnapped onto like an alternative enterprise. And basically this planet is kind of suffering from its own success. They live on a perfect world where like nobody gets viruses. There's essentially no microbes on the planet either. So people just live a really long time and it winds up overpopulated. So they steal him to try and introduce a virus into their planet for population control's sake.
Okay,
it's a really weird episode.
I have a question.
Come here, give me your herping.
I have a question. How much alcohol and cocaine were the writers of the original series on? Because that is the most insane plot I have ever heard.
Yeah, they're on all
we've got this perfect planet where there's no disease, and unfortunately we're just having 2-minute babies, so the best idea we can come up with is to go find someone who's infectious.
Yeah.
Space
so
AIDS.
Spock and Uhura reach out to Starfleet, who then tell them to call the Bureau of Planetary Treaties. And they're like, well, we don't have a treaty with that planet, so this is all on you, Starfleet. And basically, both sides just abandoned Kirk to his fate. It was a really weird kind of gimmick for the whole episode. What I gather, though, is that the diplomatic corps is just around, like on the whole, fairly useless through most of Star Trek.
I just see this fucking writer in the 60s, like fucking cigarette in hand. All right, how about this? All right. So there's a planet full of people who don't get sick, and Kirk's got to go down and fuck as many of them as he can to give them gonorrhea, and that'll kill a bunch of them, but they're all like hot babes. Yeah. Write that down.
Yeah. Their uselessness comes back into play even in the Next Generation, but we'll get to that in a second. Timeline wise, though, one of the earlier times that we see this happen is Pike in the Strange New World episodes, also titled Strange New Worlds, episode 1 of the whole series. Pike stops a civil war on Riley 279 on a mission to rescue Una from captivity by showing them clips of a civil war that took place on Earth. It was an interesting tactic. This is the problem I have with diplomacy through Starfleet on the whole. I feel like they just kind of let the captains do whatever they want.
Sure do. Fascinating that.
Yeah. I hope
our military captains are the ones who are brokering all these civilian treaties.
Yeah, I hope they at least have a class that they have to take at the academy.
Archer said he had ambassador training, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Pretty sure Picard references that at some point, too.
Probably.
Yeah. Speaking of Picard, there's a funny episode of TNG where Picard accuses Spock of cowboy diplomacy.
Yeah.
Because Ambassador Spock in secret goes to work with the Vulcan reunification team that exists on Romulus without actually asking for official Starfleet support. Like, it's funny that he complains about that because then in the best of the TNG movies, Insurrection, which takes place during the Dominion War, the useless...
Hold on. Did you just call Insurrection the best of the TNG movies?
I think he was being sarcastic.
I was being sarcastic. I'm sorry if that didn't come across well.
Okay.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah. So this takes place during the Dominion War. And once again, the wonderful Federation Diplomatic Corps basically bail and say, hey, we're too busy working with the Dominion. and they force Picard to take the Enterprise E over to the Goran system, and basically the whole movie takes place because of that.
Mm-hmm.
They just, like, again, I understand that they expect the captains to act as diplomats, but it seems wild to me that you have an entire branch of your government dedicated to, like, interspecies, interplanetary treaties, and you don't use them?
No. And usually when they are on screen, because what it was the Federation Diplomatic Corps that was negotiating about that wormhole with the Ferengi too, right? But
yes.
like Picard is the one who ended up making that fucking deal too.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the most recent activation of a captain, like timeline wise, was at the end of Discovery. Burnham ends up getting picked up by Fleet Admiral Charles Vance as the Federation representative to Navarre.
Oh, Navarre.
Which, again, why are we using captains as diplomats?
Yeah.
Like, I get using them as, like, a first point of contact.
There were a couple of times when, like, the Federation ship happened upon, like, some kind of conflict, and it was a neutral ground to have a negotiation between two sides, and they were, like, kind of brokering that, a la, like, when Clinton went to go talk to Israel and Palestine or whatever. But, like, that's the most I could give them. After that, you really shouldn't have your military captains doing, like, civilian ambassadorial work. That's just wrong. It's not what they're good at. It's not their job.
It is now. Because we need a show, damn it.
They're supposed to be flying spaceships. Why are they the ones making all these crazy important decisions on the behalf of an entire federation?
All right, I got it. So Kirk goes down to this planet that's just children, right? And then at the end, all the children are crying because they killed their own parents. Yeah, that'll be a good one for the kids to go to bed with. Oh, man, write that down.
There's a fair amount of, like, existential horror in the original series.
I can't fucking wait. To get to the original series. It's so goddamn bananas.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun time.
Oh man, there's that one episode where they're, like, fighting each other with Viking weapons for some reason.
Oh yeah, it's like Our Little War or whatever. Yeah.
Well, this was a shorter deep dive. Yeah. All right.
Did you want to take us out to break?
Yeah.
That's it. Fucking done.
Yeah. So, diplomacy in Star Trek is basically just the Wild West at this point. Like, for hundreds of years, through the whole timeline, they don't seem to have any unified force, and they basically just let the captains do whatever they want. That's what it really comes down to.
Sweet.
Yep.
All right, so Spock only fucks every 7 years, right? And we'll have him and Kirk fight over this girl. Yeah, write that down.
On that note, we're going to take another break and come back for Potpourri.
Welcome back. So, we're gonna trivia again this week. Right before Christmas, a buddy of ours, we play D&D every week with this table, because I play D&D every week and have for the better part of a decade. Yeah, be jealous. And one of our buddies always likes to give us a Christmas present because we tend to host the game. So he's like, here, just kind of a repayment. And this year's Christmas present was D&D Trivial Pursuit. Now, D&D Trivial Pursuit is the hardest shit I've ever played. Fuck that shit. It's ridiculous. But it got me thinking, does there exist a Star Trek Trivial Pursuit?
I mean, there's gotta be.
Right? There's gotta be. So I Googled it, right? And originally there was one back in the late 80s. And as soon as I saw the picture, I'm like, yeah, my dad had that fucking box on our shelf. I recognized that box immediately. But it was like all like original series stuff and some of the movies and like the couple of episodes of TNG that came out. And then I found out that for the 50th anniversary of the show, they released a small standalone Trivial Pursuit thing like kind of game, but it's a little different for Star Trek with a bunch of Trivial Pursuit cards and stuff. Okay. This was the 50th year anniversary. So I guess it's like what, 2013, 2014, somewhere in there. Wildly out of print. Okay. They ran it just in 2014. So I was like, can I get this anywhere? And it turns out it's on eBay. Now I don't have an eBay account because I'm not 50. So I said to Chief, I was like, Dad, yo, buy me this. And I didn't even hear it okay. So I was like, well, he's busy. Anyways, Christmas shows up and motherfucker bought it for me. And so I have it.
Nice.
The cool thing about this is it's 2014, which means that it stops literally after the last movie of the TNG stuff. So like it's got all of Enterprise and all 10 of the original movies and like everything before then. It doesn't seem to have the animated series. But it's got everything else. None of the J.J. Abrams stuff, none of the newer shows. The other cool thing is that the cards are actually labeled for which show they're from.
Oh,
so
cool.
I actually pulled out the Star Trek Enterprise cards.
Oh boy.
All right. Now, we're going to start going through some of these. There are spoilers in some of them. I will skip those ones because I know Rob hasn't actually seen all of Enterprise yet.
Oh, that's fine. Like, I spoil myself every week when I have to do research for stuff.
Yeah, but I don't want you to have an unfair advantage because you don't even know what the fucking words I'm using.
That's fair.
So, it starts out pretty easy, but gets a little harder. We'll take, I guess let's do first one to shout it out. All right.
Okay.
All right. Question 1. What actor had previously made a sci-fi quantum leap before playing Captain Archer?
Scott Bakula.
Scott Bakula.
Chris got that one. All right. Where did Klang's ship crash land?
Broken Bow, Iowa.
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. God damn it.
It is Oklahoma. So I'm going to give that one to Rob because he probably knew the Broken Bow part too.
It is the name of the first 2 episodes.
All right. What is the common name for children who were born on spaceships in the 22nd century?
Spacer?
No.
Oh, Travis. I have no idea.
Is it Boomer?
Space Cadet.
It is Space Boomer. Yep, it is Boomer.
Okay.
Oh, that's right.
But your first answer was wrong, so neither of you get a point. Fuck you.
Fuck you.
This Trivial Pursuit, man. We don't fuck around. Space Cadet, though. That's funny, honey. Good job. What race is Dr. Phlox?
Denobulan.
See,
I think Chris is going to get an advantage because it doesn't have to go all the way out to Montana and back. What is the top speed of Captain Archer's Enterprise?
5 warp 5. Warp 5.
Yes, Rob got it first. 5 warp. Yep.
I said 5 warp 5.
5 warp 5. Although I believe, did they say 5.2 or whatever?
Yeah, I think it is like 5.2.
Yeah, that's when the injectors are at 120%.
120, which they're rated for. So
it's fine
as long as it's safe.
Is the registry number of Archer's Enterprise?
NX-01.
Good job.
Boo. I was trying to remember if there was more than NX-01. I'm like, is there more than that? But
all right, next card. Who's the chief engineer?
Trip Tucker.
Trip.
Anyone got a first name?
Charles.
Oh, come on.
No, Chris did say Trip first. Where was Ensign Mayweather born?
On
the space.
What is the name of the stupid ship?
Oh, you're making me sad. Come on.
Hold on. The Fortunate Son?
No. It's like
I don't remember.
Olympia or some stupid name.
Come on, boys. God. The Horizon. What
the
are
Horizon.
You doing?
I know, it's a bingo card.
What does MACO stand for? MACO.
That's the name of the reactor in Final Fantasy VII.
But what's it stand for?
Some sort of shark.
Hold on. MACO. Fuck, no, I don't know.
Military Assault Command Operations.
Oh, that's the Marine group, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. What alien cabal were major participants in the temporal Cold War?
The Suliban?
Yes. What hand weapon replaced the EM-33?
Phase pistol?
Okay. Rob, just shout him out when you know him. Just shout him out.
Yeah, sure. I don't even know what the EM-33 is.
All right, Chris. I don't know if you're going to know this one either. What is the second NX-class vessel that was launched?
The NX-02?
Sure. What was its name, Hotshot?
The Defiant?
What'd you say, Rob?
The Defiant?
No.
No, I don't know. I vaguely recall this being referenced, but I have no idea what the name is.
It's the Columbia.
Oh, that's funny. Name of the city I live in.
I guess all of the NX-class ships are named after space shuttles.
I would assume so. What's the name of Archer's dog?
Porthos!
Oh, Jesus.
The goodest boy in Starfleet.
See, this is where these cards get ridiculous. T'Pol's quarters were located on which deck?
The first deck.
What'd you say, Chris?
E-deck?
No.
A deck.
No, it's B deck.
Fuck.
Oh.
I couldn't remember if it was B or E.
I wouldn't have even been able to tell you that they were letters.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought they were numbered.
What year did the Battle of Andoria occur?
Fuck your mother, that's when.
Didn't they mention it in this episode?
They mentioned the Battle of Pon Makar / Waita.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It was 2154.
Hmm.
How, you don't know that, Rob. What stigmatizing disease did T'Pol contract?
Bonar syndrome.
Good job.
You said Ponfar, that's all I could think of, but I knew that wasn't it. They're, basically the same word, so you know.
Do either of you know the actor who played Malcolm Reed?
Dominic Keating?
Shit.
Keating is right.
No, he's got it. No, he's 100% correct. Fucking hell. This is the last card, by the way, that I'm doing. Which Vulcan monastery hid a surveillance facility?
Shit, they said it in this episode. Gem, yeah.
Good job, Rob. This was worth 2 points. Who is known as the father of the transporter?
Oh, we haven't seen this episode yet. Fuck.
Didn't they mention it the first time they did the transporter?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Oh, well, then never mind. It's Emery Erickson.
Yeah. I think that might be later this season.
Who was the Vulcan ambassador to Earth that Archer often encountered?
Saval.
Before starships had shields, what strengthened their hulls?
Polarization? Polarized hull plating?
There you go. I was like, that's not really a complete answer. All right, last question. Ooh, I don't know that this has actually come up yet. Although, Chris, I would be staggered if you actually know this.
Okay.
What is the name of Shran's battle cruiser?
Oh.
I don't think we've actually seen it yet, Rob. So you probably don't have any idea.
It's the Shrantacular.
Weirdly enough, that's completely wrong.
Yeah, I don't remember what it is.
It's the Kumari. Named after the first ice cutter to circumnavigate Andoria. All right, Chris fucking destroyed you, Rob. So,
I mean, that's unsurprising.
We'll blame Montana for that.
Yeah.
That was about, what was that?
Literally traveling
cards?
Twice as far.
There's more cards for this too, so. But yeah, so we can do this. The later series that have more episodes, there's more cards for those, and each of the movies has a bunch of cards too. So
very cool.
It's a cool set. So thanks, Chief. All right, I think that'll wrap us this week. I believe next week is the episode Future Tense. If I'm not mistaken, that's the one where the Borg show up.
Oh snap!
So of course it's the one I'm fucking doing.
But you love the Borg.
Fucking hate the Borg so goddamn much.
Do you hate them as much as you hate transporters?
No. I'm scared of transporters. There's a difference.
Are you saying you're not scared of the Borg?
It might not be the Borg one, but it's more time travel-y shit. No, the Borg are not. They do show up at some point, though. All right, so Join us next week for that wonderful episode. Thank you for joining us this week. Once again, we do this at the top and the bottom. Please rate and review our podcast. Leave us some 5-star reviews because we are 5-star people. If you leave us a good review, I will read it. If you leave us a bad review, I'll probably still read it, but with like a smarmy, sarcastic tone the whole time.
Nice.
We do continue to get hate mail from our one and only hate mailer, but you're also welcome to email me. I do read everything because we don't get that much. And theoretically, Chris will be posting on Reddit. So if you see that go out, give it a thumbs up. Although this will be weeks later, so it's probably gone and buried. Necromancer. Do a Necromancer on that post. All right. Hey, we love all of you, and we will see you next week.
Bye-bye, John.
Oh, Jesus, do it, John, again. So from now on, we're just going to say goodbye to John.
We absolutely should. That should be the new thing.
He's going to stop listening. Goodbye, John.
Thanks for listening to Captain's Log Supplemental. You can follow us on Twitter at PodCLS or send us hate mail at podcls3@gmail.com.